everyone, this is Jan, and I'm starting a little rose painting for you, but I'm using different paints. I'm using Heritage by Jann Art, and I'm also using their extender medium, which is this right here, extender medium. And I'm also using their brushes. This is a 3/4 inch brush. And I have the colors out here, and what I want to do is to go ahead and put my brush in water, blot it on my paper towel right here. And I picked up a little bit of white with some of their medium. Now I have it in a little cap up here. And I just pulled it out. And I mixed the white into the brush, and I'm going to come up here, and it's going to act sort of like a liquid white, and it's has the extender in it to where when I come back in this, then it will remain wet for me. And I'm going to pick up just a touch of the black, because I want a light gray. I'm going to get another set of gray in here. And let's put some gray down here too while I have this extender down here. Now I'm trying these out because I have seen on his show where you can take his mediums and have your painting background stay wet for a couple of hours. And for me, that would be great because I like to paint wet on wet, and I would love it if my backgrounds would stay wet enough for me to get these roses and foliage and everything on. So I'm just giving them a little whirl here, see how they're gonna do. You do have to use your extenders with it because you want your paints to remain wet. And if you don't use the extender with the paints, then your paintings they're gonna dry. You know, acrylic, that's what they do. They dry. But if you put enough extender with the paint, then it should remain wet for quite a while. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just wanting it to remain wet for me. I'm working fairly fast. I'm just doing a cross stroke. All of you have seen that before, so I'm not going over it in detail. And I'm just putting this on fairly loose. My canvas was already base coated in a gesso and sanded, so it's nice and smooth. I have the pattern on. The pattern I sketched it on with a watercolor pencil, hard lead. Let's go in here just a little bit, right in there. Okay, everything's wet. Now I'm going to come in here with just a touch of blue. I want a little blue down here in the base. This has a lot of extender in it, so I'm just brush mixing some of this blue down here, and that seems to be remaining wet for me. So I'm just kind of trying this out, see how I like these paints. I see his work all the time, and he does just beautiful, beautiful roses. He paints anything beautiful, but I know him for his roses because I watch him paint them. I can't paint them like he does, but what I'm interested in is painting it in my style, using some of the techniques that he uses with his mediums and stuff and his paints, and then do it in my style of painting. It's really hard to paint exactly like someone. I mean, just, you know, like anyone, everybody has their own style and uniqueness, and you should try to do it the way that is comfortable for you to do it. Use the techniques and everything that you learn, but when you know, put in your background or start with whatever you're doing, and maybe you have a different brush stroke that you would rather use, different than what they're showing. Go ahead and use that. And just use parts of the techniques that they're showing you to do and paint it like you want to paint it. Okay, I'm wiping my brush on a paper towel, and I dirty brush everything. So I have a little bit of blue, a little bit of gray, and I'm just tipping the edge of that brush. Remember, I'm brush mixing everything. Let me wipe some of that off. I don't want it real deep gray color, but I would like to deepen up these corners just a little bit. See, like that. Now pick up a little more gray. Let's deepen up that corner just a little bit. Pick up a little more. I have medium in that because I still want this to remain wet for me. We're going to see how long this can remain wet while I'm doing this. I love experimenting with different techniques and different paints and brushes. By the way, the brushes I have here are from Dave's line, and he has his own brushes, and they are excellent brushes. I love these brushes. They're more like a natural hairbrush, and they're just nice to work with. If you ever start working with different brushes, you will notice the quality of your brushes and what really feels nice and what really works well. Now, I'm taking my brush like this now, and I want to leave some of that blue color on there. Look how pretty that is. It's beautiful blue. It is his phthalo blue. And I'm also adding medium whenever I do this because I want it to remain wet. Ooh. Now that's what happened. I'm going to wipe that off. That's what happens when you grab a little too much on your plate there. But I'm just going to pity pat some of that in. I just want little blotches of blue. Now while I have this on here, I'm just going to wipe my brush off. I'm going to pick up some of this little pine green here. Going to make me a little pile of this pine green here. Kind of work it in my brush. And I might want to pick up a little blue in that too. And I'm just going to swish. Let's just swish around some little leaf effects. I'm twisting my brush like this each time I lay it down. It's twisting. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and put in some shadow leaves and stuff here right behind. While I have it, and it's nice and wet back there, which means that when it goes in, it's going to be nice and soft. okay? Because we can deepen the color later, but I want those back shadow leaves in there. And I just twist the brush around. Each time I lay the brush down, it's going to twist, 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 twist. And you get some of the neatest foliage like that. That you wouldn't get instead of laying it in leaf per leaf. We'll do that a little later. But for this one, just lay in some light foliage there. And carry some up here. Got a big old spot up here. We can add some foliage, and you can get it going in like an arch way. Go this way, go that way. Carry it off the end of your canvas. I'm going to bring some down this way. I'm just getting in some of that shadow. Let's bring that right off the canvas here. Let's bring this off, going off that direction. Not exactly in the corner, but kind of tilted. Okay. Maybe bring that one off. That one off the canvas. This one. And this one down here. And I'm running out of paint, so that's probably telling me it's time to go ahead and leave this alone. So what we've done is we have put in our background, and while that was still wet, we went ahead and put in our foliage. Now the only thing I want to check on is to be sure that my paint back here is going up against the petals here. I don't want, that's going to be a petal there, but I'm going to fill that in right there. I don't want any kind of dry spots right near those petals I'm going to do. So I want to make sure I get in where I want to go. I could even pull in a little bit right there. Okay. There we go. All right, I'm going to wipe the brush on a paper towel. Okay. Now, are there any other areas that I want to lighten up a little bit? And could have it lighten up down here. I can crisscrossy little areas down here. Kind of make the background look a little. And again, I'm just picking up more paint, heavier paint, to where it's not thin with too much medium down here, just to rough it up a little more. These paints are really creamy, real creamy. I love that for canvas painting. Now I have a lot of action going on here on this backdrop. See, lots of brush strokes. I love all the brush stroke play in this. I'm still doing stuff, twisting this brush around and doing little odds and ends on it. Make it interesting. Okay, and it's interesting. All right. Look at it in the camera. Yeah, it's all blotchy, I guess would be a good word for it. They call it mottled or moodled or something like that. I just call it messy. I like my backdrops to have a lot of action in them. See, a lot of stuff going on. I like that, because then you're roses are going to be nice and smooth, and the petals are going to be really great. Okay, now I am going to let this dry. Okay, and there's your background. I'll let this dry, and then when I come back, we can go ahead and add extender around it so that when we start to pull in our petals and all of that, we'll be able to. Now I'm just going to try something here. I'm sorry. I get so excited about doing this. Now I've got blue, green, and a little black. I'll make a nice sap green. Look how dark that is. Isn't that nice? Now I'm going to blot that some. I just want to try and see what it does here. Right in between here. And being it is wet, I'm going to try it right here too. I want that. Now I'm going to go to the other side of the brush, this side right here, and I'm going to walk this green out some. I'm going to keep it dark right in there, but we're going to walk some of this green out a little bit. But I just want it dark to remain dark here, but I'm just going to take that edge right here and walk some of that color out so it's a little softer. I don't want a hard edge there. I'm going to do the same thing with this right here. I'm going to walk out a little bit of this. Just want to see how this is reacting with wet, because it is still very, very wet. Now wet my brush down, and I could actually come back in, pick up some more of that and walk it out just a little bit more. So this background is staying wet enough to where I could come right back in, pick up a little of that dark and move it over here. That's a neat way to do stuff. I like to do stuff like that. You pick up the dark here, move it over here. See? And then you just do your little strokes here. Now see how much paint we got out there just from going back here. See? And I can, let's take some down here. This one's a little sparse down here. And then walk it right out over here. I'm borrowing paint from right here, and we can just move it over here and walk it out. And then a neat way to to walk your color out, and you can do that because my background is still wet. That's why I like working wet and wet so much. But if you were just using regular acrylic paint, oh, this backdrop would be dry on you. It's not going to budge. But see how I can just soften? I can just soften some of that and just play around with it. And that's what makes all these yummy, yummy intermingled colors. Just walk out some of those edges there. Love it. I love it. It's performing just like if you were in oil. And I'm an oil painter originally. Back 50 years ago when acrylics weren't even available. Never heard of bottle acrylic back when I first started painting in my 20s. And I'm in my 70s now, so a long time ago. So some of us painters that were oil painters, we still like the techniques of oils, but we want to work in acrylic, but we want it to feel like oil. So this is one way to do it. Okay, I think I've pity-patted enough in this. This is really nice. I like this. It's starting to set up on me though. Yes, I would have to really use this medium and keep this wet for it to continue on doing this. But I like what this has done. I'm finished with it. I've got a little stuff on my brush here. I can just pity pat some of that over here. See? Just pity pat it. Just move it around a little bit so that I have something up there. I love doing backdrops like this. Give it a try. See how you like it. Just use this this extender medium that you get with these paints. Now, if you don't have this brand, you have maybe folk art paints. You can use your extender with that. Don't use floating medium. Use your extender. Floating medium doesn't extend your time for it to dry. And that's what you want when you do these kind of backgrounds. Okay, that's it. All right, I'm going to clean my brush, and when I come back the next time, we are going to start, I believe, our roses. Before we do the foliage, I might go ahead and do some foliage, and then I'll come back and do the, I don't know. Let me think about it. Okay, I'll see you in just a few. Okay, we're back again, and I did go ahead and do one rose here, and the reason I did that was because I wanted to see how these paints were going to react with the way I wanted to paint these. So I thought it'd be quicker if I would just go ahead and do one rose here, and then I could go ahead and do another rose here, and then you could continue on with doing your roses. So I'm going to do a yellow rose on this one, and I have a yellow ochre and Hansa yellow here. So if you have a real light yellow or a yellow ochre, you can choose those two colors. And then I have white here, and then of course I have the extender medium right here in this little cup here. And I do want to keep these petals wet, so I will dip into the corner of the brush with my medium, and I will just work it into my brush. That way it's already in there, and I have switched to a number 10 flat brush here. And just work that right into your brush, okay? And you don't want it dripping, but you want it to where it works itself into your bristles. Now, the first color I want on here, I kind of want to establish my rose again here. I can see the bowl type right here. This would be this center part. And then you have a little bowl that comes down here, and then you will do some petals over here. So this part here in the center is going to be your deepest color. So I'm going to go ahead and lay in a light color, medium color, and then a dark color. So the lightest color, I'm going to go ahead and dip my corner of my brush just in some medium, or extender is what I'm dipping it in. And I might want to add a little bit of white with that, because it might get a little too bright of a yellow. Okay. These paints are super creamy. It's just unreal how creamy these paints are. They're wonderful to work with. Now wipe your brush, the rest of the paint on a paper towel. Don't go in water. And the next color that I want to add is a little bit of the yellow ochre. I'm just going to mix that color in with some of the yellow that I had here. Okay, I want to make sure it has a little bit of medium with it, because like I say, I want that to remain wet for me. So when I pull in my strokes, so I've got a light yellow and I have a medium, the yellow ochre. I'm going to wipe my brush on a paper towel again, and I am going to pick up a little burnt sienna and mix this burnt sienna into my yellow ochre here. I want this to be a deeper color. If it pulls with me on the palette, pick up a little bit of that extender. And right here in the center, I want that to be some of that deeper brown, burnt sienna color. Alright, wipe the brush on a paper towel. Now, the next color we want is the white. And I'm going to load both sides of the brush. I do want extender in this. Don't want it to dry on me. Kind of a loose mixture here. And it's not really a white, it's kind of a tan color is what I'm coming up with. And the first thing I want to do, I want to start kind of in the center. I'm going to have 3 petals here, so let's see if I can draw. I can see this, but you can't right now, but I will zoom in when I edit this film so that you can see it. Okay, I'm going to load a little more white. And I'm going to start up at the top here. Let me pull this up. I'm going to start right out here. I'm going to wipe my brush off, and I'm going to go into a little more white here so that you can see this. There we go. I just had to put a little more white on there so that you could see that petal. These petals here, we're going to stroke in like that, and then we'll pick up more white, and then I'm going to go over here and we're going to touch in the center like that, and then we're going to go on the right side, and then we're going to go on the left side. Okay, now I'm going to wipe the brush down again. I'm going to try to pick up a little more heavier white. And as I load the brush, I have paint on one side, which is that side there. Okay, so I'm going to flip it up so that side is face up. Now I'm going to come back in here, and I'm going to do a little petal edge right here. And that will leave that white, that edge of that white on the petal for you. Like that. Okay. Let's see. There you go. See, it'll leave that nice little edge for you. And that's how I would make more little petals coming in to your center. So if I want to continue doing these little petals, come right on down. And these are just little flicks working on the back corner of that brush. Okay, so that we have some little centers like that. It's just a flick of your brush on that corner. Now when that sets up a little bit, we can highlight that again with the white, and it'll show up a little better. So we'll go ahead and go on with this one. Wipe the brush on a paper towel. Now let's go ahead and do, now the bowl is right here. That's the bowl. Okay, right there. So that means I'm going to have petals in the front right here. So let's load up a little yellow. I'm going to make this a little bit deeper. Again, I want some medium with this because I want this to stay wet. I'm just dipping the corner in some medium. And we're just going to paint this some yellow all the way across. We got a little bowl right here. Okay, that's the bowl of the rose right there. Okay, now I'm going to wet my brush on a paper towel. I'm going to pick up a little bit of that yellow ochre on one side of the brush. It's on the bottom side. See, it's right there. Let's pick up a little more. Okay, bottom side of the brush. There it is. See, it was down there like that. There's the bottom side with the paint. Okay, I'm going to take that and I want that on the bottom so that when I pull up, it's just like if I was going to edge these petals, but I'm edging them on the bottom. See, the paint's on the bottom. Then when I pull up, see, it blends right on into the yellow. And it creates a little edge on there. Now wipe the brush, paper towel, come into white. I want this white to be loose. I'm going to put some medium in it. Again, I'm going to load one side. Okay, I loaded the bottom side. See, that's the bottom side. That's the top side. See, there's no paint on it really. It's all on that side. So when I start to come down for a petal, let's turn this so it's at an angle. Okay, I'm going to do 3 petals here. So we're going to do one coming here, a center one here, like this, maybe a couple of little petals right there. Go into the white again, load one side, flip it up. Okay, now we're going to do one side, flip it up, and let's bring that one right in front. I hope you could see that. I might have had my hand over it. Let's do this one over here. So we're going to touch right here. Okay, and we can bring another petal in that way. I like to make my petals uneven. And if you make them uneven, you can do layers on layers of those petals. Now I'm going to come up here. And I am just touching some of these up here because my paint has set up. And I can do, again, I load the bottom and flip it up to get that nice little edge off of there. Okay. And I can just do multiple layers of petals. There we go. I want that uneven right there. All right, that would be your center. Almost did it too much to where I covered up my center. All right, wipe your brush off, both sides. Don't dip in the water. Now let's go ahead and let's do dark right here and then do some yellow. Okay, now the dark, I could go ahead and just do this color here, but I'm going to lay in the yellow first. And I am going to use a little medium because I want it to remain wet. Let's see. Okay, this block in. That would be a really bad. I'm going to have to make multiple petals on this one over here. That would be too big of a petal right there. Okay, here. And now see how it's pulling in a little bit of that green? Why? Because my green in some areas is still wet. You believe it? The background is still a little damp. And I like that. Okay, let's go this way. Now, I want a little petal off that way, otherwise it's going to look lopsided. Okay, now let's pick up a little of that yellow ochre, and let's just block in a little of that yellow ochre, dry brush it, there we go, so that it's darker color right near the base and right here. Okay, there we go. I think I'll make 2 petals out of this. Okay, wipe the brush on a paper towel. Now let's come back with some loose white. We do want some extender in this, and we want it fairly loose. Okay, now I've got both sides. I'm going to get rid of one side, just so I just have it on one side. Okay, let's go ahead and do, let's see, this one here. I'm just sketching in a little petal here so I know which way I'm going. Okay, this one we can do a small one here, and this one can run behind this one here, and this one somehow is down there. Okay, it's a little lost petal. All right, now I'm going to go into the white. I want a little floating medium, or not floating, I'm so used to saying floating, extender. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. I got both sides loaded here. Okay, let's see. Now, I'm going to have this one on top. Let's do this bottom one here. Now, what I'd like to do is turn my work around to where I'm not working this way in, but I think I can go ahead and do this little bitty one. Okay, here we go. Now, let's load up some more color. Pull out some of that white if it gets too light with you. This one's under, so I'll start out beyond the petal. I'm going to tilt this up a little bit. Okay. Okay, that one's under. Let's go over here. Let's make this one touch the outside edge. Let me turn that. Touch the outside edge. Pull in. Okay, let's load up again. All right, we have one right over here. Let's do this one. Now I can bring this up and over that. Okay, now we have one right here. Okay, I'm going to pull up, over, over. Okay, I'm going to wipe my brush down. I'm going to load one side now. My paint's a little bit thicker, so it's going to stick. There we go. So if your paint is slick underneath, you need a thicker paint for it to stick on top. All right, how about this one here? There we go. Again, load one side only. I'm pulling out thicker paint here. Now I would like to see a highlight right here. Yeah, right there. See how your petals, they'll grow with you. That always happens. And it's okay. right. Now I'm going to turn this the other way. Hey. Okay. This one's the top, and this one's the bottom, middle one, right here. All right, I'm looking at this. I kind of like it like it is. Now before, I'm highlighting with thicker paint here. One side, with that side up. Your paint, it will dry duller as it sets up, okay? So you might have to re-highlight some of these areas. And that's why when you think it's bright enough and you come back 15 minutes or so later and you have to re-highlight it, that's why. Now I'm going to add a little blue to this. I'm going to highlight some of these in a little blue. Oh, well, we want to be careful because blue and yellow is going to make green. So think about that one. Don't have any yellow in your brush. And what we will do is take a little white, come over here, oops, took a little white, come over here, dip in just a little bit of the blue so that we have some blue. And let's see if I can get a few little blue edges while it's wet. Okay. Just make sure you don't have any yellow on your brush and stay out of the yellow here. I just want a few little edges on here. And let me turn this. I want to turn it like this so that it is facing me like that. Okay, and I'm going to just highlight a few of these little edges here with some blue, because I know these up here are okay. Maybe a few right there, and maybe a little one right here. Let's get some more white. Okay. Again, we want really, really light blue here. There we go. Okay. Can I see? I can see this, but I don't know if you could see it. So, we gotta be careful. Let's see. I'm gonna re-highlight what I did. There, I can see a little bit of the blue. There we go. Okay. Maybe here, maybe there. Just a few little edges of blue in there. Yeah, you can see that. Okay. Let me pull that up. See the little blue? Now, it's already dry on this one, so that's the reason I wanted to put a little blue on this. These petals before they dried up, because it's a lot easier. Okay, so there's that yellow one. Okay, everyone, I'm going to have to recharge my battery on my computer, so that's the little yellow flower, and the next little rose we'll do is this one right here, but I gotta charge my Mac up. Okay, I'll see you in a few. Okay, everyone, I've finished with the roses here, and we're going to be adding a little bit of foliage on here. So I've just been kind of experimenting on this background because everything is dry, except for this little rose. I just finished this little rose here, and I did do this one on a dry canvas to where these two were done and the canvas was kind of wet. This little rose is done just a little bit different. There's not as many big fluffy petals out here. It's more contained, so it looks like a different type of rose. And I just used like a red-violet color on that, mixed with some white for this rose, and then just use the color by itself for the center part. So when we start doing our leaves, I'm using a 10 flat, and I have mixed up a sap green here with the pine needle green, or pine green. Now this is the colors and the tubes on what they look like. Janssen art, okay. If you're using bottle acrylic, it would be like a thicket. So use your pine green, and then use some burnt sienna. Mix those two together, and it will give you a sap green here. Then I took some of that color, mixed a little bit of a bright yellow. Theirs is a Hassa yellow, or you could use like a daffodil yellow and make that a little bit lighter here. And then this one is even lighter with more yellow in it, and a touch of blue, so it's more of a blue-green on it. Okay, it's kind of small to see that in the little square down here in the right-hand corner, but that's how I got a sap green and a medium green and a light green. And I'm starting off using the 10, and I'm putting in these little blade leaves, and I love doing these, but this one here, now I did wet the background. Let's see if you can see that shine. There we go. See the shine on that? Okay, the shine is on there because I used some extender just by itself and put a light coat of extender behind before, or on the canvas, the dry canvas, before I did the leaves. Then I took like a paper towel. Let's say if this was all coated, and then I took a paper towel and I just blotted it so I didn't have a whole lot on there, and then just took my brush with no paint on it and just thinned it out on there so that I had a light coat on there. Okay, now this one over here was done on a dry canvas, but the sheen on that you see is the extender that I used in the paint here so that it would glide with me, because if you don't, you could have dry marks being you're on a dry canvas. So I was just trying those two methods to see which one I like the best. Now my brush is loaded with this light green here. I'm going to pick up a little light green. I'm going to kind of double load this with dark green and maybe some of this other green here. I have used some of the thinner, and we're just going to go with it dry up here. If I don't like it dry, then we'll change the method of how we're going to do that. Okay, so I first lay in some veins, the chisel of the brush, okay, and you want to put them, you just want to swoop them. And we'll swoop this way. This one's going to come out towards that corner there. And once you have those done, pick up a little bit of the dark here. Let's go a little bit of the light in there. Now I think it's going to get lost. So go ahead and start back here on a chisel and slowly start pressing down. And when you get close to the end, then you're going to lift your brush up on the chisel again. So you start out chisel, flatten, chisel, and you just glide it. Okay, start back here, chisel, flatten, chisel, and you can do this all in one easy stroke. Now I'm going to get a little more extender here Get my pile of paint a little looser. Okay, chisel, flatten, chisel, chisel, flatten, chisel. Go in the direction you want to go in. This one's heading towards that corner, but yet missing it just a little bit. Up on that. Oops, I'm not getting on that chisel. My brush split open on me. There we go. Okay, those two are going the same direction. Let's see if we can. There we go. I don't like that they're going the same direction, but it'll be okay. Alright, so we have these little stems here. Blade stems is what I call them. Now I can come back. I'm going to come back and I'm going to re-establish some of the dark side on these, which would be the bottom. And you can start from the tip and work down, but anyway, I'm doing the dark on the left side over here. The dark would be on the right side. Let's see if I can get this over here. Now let's go down here. Let's go down to this side here. So I want the dark. That's the light coming here, so at least it looks like the light side. So I'm going to re-establish some of these. Pick up a little more of the sap green on here. So let's see the right side there. Now it's going to be on the bottom. I just want to do that so we have some color variations in that. Alright, and you can also do that on the one up here. Okay, the bottom half is going to be your darker green, the bottom part of the leaf. Okay, it's going to be either the bottom or the right side there. Okay, and you can just quickly re-establish those. Okay, here we go. Okay, oops, I think I was off camera that whole time. Sorry. Okay, so once you get your blade leaves in, then the next thing you want to do, I'm just going to wipe my brush on a paper towel. I would go ahead, let's do some little what I call up and back leaves. I'm double loading here with a light green. I'm going to add a little white to that. Some light green and the medium green or the dark green. Let me pick up some dark green here. That seems to show up a little better. Okay, now on these up and back leaves, what you're going to do on these is you're going to go out and you're going to come back. So if I wanted a little leaf here, like this, I'd start right here, come up, come right back. Okay, what that does is it adds a little vein there for you. Let's see if I can get a little closer here. Okay, let's say I want one right here. So you're going to start here, you're going to go up, go to a chisel, and come back down. And you're just going to sit on the brush a little bit, and it adds that little vein in there. Okay, I'm going to reload. I seem to like these leaves a lot better than other leaves I've done. They're quick, they're easy, they're a cute little leaf. Let's go back down here. Let's do another one. So right here, touch, come up, come down. Okay, now leave that. Let's do just a little bitty one right here and back. Now let's go ahead and do some over here. I'm going to add a little more white to my brush. Let's see. Maybe we want to leave come out here. Up and back. Let's have one come out this way. Up, come back. Okay. Now let's go ahead and add a little more color. I like that sap green color that it made. It's really nice. Alright. Maybe put the dark on the outside there. Oops, got a little dry there. That's okay. Pick up a little bit of medium. Put it over here. And you can do whatever leaf you want to do, everybody. You don't have to do what I'm showing you here. I'm sorry, just a minute here. I want to go this direction. Okay, so right here, up, come back. Okay, let's do another. Let's do one right here, up and back. Yeah. Okay, so we have some there. Let's add a few more down here. Looks kind of bare down here. Okay, so let's see here. Let's add one right in here. Up and back. So we got three. I'm going to do one this color here. That way it'll show up. And I'll leave that other one right there. Okay. Up, back, up, back. Now if you want to, you can just leave these little tiny ones. Just do little tiny ones like that. So you can do a little branch. Let me go this direction. Sorry to... I'm going to dip into a little extender there. A little more of that sap green I made up. Okay, now let's look at where we have all these. What I'd like to see is some more. I can do some little tiny leaves. Let's see. Might want one right in here. Can you see? Yeah, you can see. Up, back. Okay. Okay. I want to get some sets of threes in here. Kind of like what I did right here. So let's do another one. Let's do another one right here. Yep, back. I'm going to take it right off on the canvas there. Let's do that here. Now, see how dry that was? Need a little extender or float if you're using another type of acrylic. I'm going to dip in a little extender here. Now what I want to do again is let's go here. Let's weave some leaves right in here by these roses. Yeah, just put these right in there. Sneak them in there. See, we have another one right here. Okay, my paint is getting a little dry on me, so I'm going to pick up a little more extender there and work it in. Okay, I have some there. Let's see, I could do a little one right here. See how easy those are to put in? They're just so cute to put in. Oops, let my brush slip. Now let's pick up a smaller brush. I'm going to wipe paint off of that one. I'm going to stick it in my brush holder here, and I am going to grab, I have a little bitty one here. This is a number 6. I'm going to wet it first, and we're going to blot it. And I want to add, let's add some of these little violet leaves. I'm going to load it with some paint, and I have some dark on this side, and let's add some color to this out here. So let's add a few of them right here first. And there. Let's see, I've got to find my pile here that I was in. Let's add some color. I'm trying to figure out where I want to add my color. Just some little doodahs here. Make sure you put a little stem on them. Well, let's turn that one. Ended up a fat stem, so let's. Okay, I want some color up here. And up here, like we have some of these on top, and this is just the color from this other rose here that is left over. Okay, now I'm going to flip this, and we're going to add some of this color down here. Just some little flips here. And let's see, where else can we have some of this color? Got some there, got some there, over here. That's it down so I can, just some little doodahs. And this is just a regular little leaf stroke, just like what we're doing there, only I'm adding, I'll be adding some little stems to them. Okay, here. Okay, maybe some little color out in here. Okay, let's look at this. Oops. Okay, so I've got plenty of color weaved in and out here. It looks okay. Pick up a little bit of this, and some of these I might need a lighter color, so I'm going to pick up just some of the light color. On some of these, it could have got lost. You know how sometimes you lay a color down and then it will get lost after about 15 seconds, I think, on some of these. And so I'm just adding a little bit lighter color because it can get lost in there, and if it gets lost further, add a little dark color to it, or add the dark color and then come back and add a little white on there, kind of like if you had some did some little violets or something, but these are like little leaf clusters. And then I would come back, let me put my brush down, and I would come back with a nice little liner brush. Let me get it wet. And Just going to mix this with, get it nice and soupy. This is just a little liner brush. Now let me test it here. Not soupy enough. Yeah, test it on your... Okay. It's the small little details of liner work that I think I need my liner work a little deeper in color. Okay. And it's not, doesn't want to show up on here. There we go. And we can just go ahead and add some liner work to it. Oops. And if you make a line that's too fat, then go ahead and turn it into like a little lilac or something that's coming off of here. But I want some of the lines on here so that it's not just leaves out there kind of in mid-space. And I don't want it so perfect that and you can add some little swirly thingies. Let's see. Are you even seeing that? I get off painting this and I get over here and there and I get everybody off camera here. And I'm just doing little swirly thingies. Some of this I don't even know, I just do brush strokes just to add interest. And I try to go in the same direction that I'm starting out, you know. Just going this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. Okay. Alright. And this is pretty much complete, I think. I think that's enough for everybody. And you could even add, excuse me, some veins in your leaves, but you really don't need to. Once it's dry, you can add some little lavenders in there if you wanted. You know, little lavender color. I don't think it'll take this lavender color right now. Let me try it on this little leaf right here. There we go. It did. Now I'm just kind of like floating a little lavender. Let's try a little lavender right here. Okay. How about up here? Yeah, that adds to it, huh? Add a little lavender on some of those leaves, and I'm just kind of like floating a little lavender that I had on my palette there. Okay, so that changes up your leaf colors a little bit. And I didn't get much of this bright green on here, did I? I think I had white mixed in with that. Maybe I can strengthen that color just a little bit. Maybe so it looks like it's maybe a little turn leaf or something here. You know? I mean, you can go back and just kind of soften stuff around. And add some brush stroke work to it, or do whatever you want to it. just to play with it. All right, I think I am done on my end here. I don't want to add any little dots or anything in those roses. I think they're done just fine the way they are. Okay, and also if you would like to purchase this little painting, I will have a link below, and you can purchase it on my eBay store. I have several little paintings on there that you can purchase, and they're very reasonable. This one here is an 8x10 canvas, and it's on a canvas board, so you don't need a hanger for it. You can just lean it up against anything on your bookshelf. Also, if you do want to hang these and you don't want to put it in a frame, you can get those little picture frame that you stick on here, you know, that have the sticky, and then it has a little hook that you can put on your wall and hang up. You can get one of those, and it will stick right to the back of this canvas here, so you can do it either way. So these canvases work really well in your home as far as hanging them up, because you don't have to hang them, you can lean them. They're nice and sturdy. I buy good quality canvases. They're not the little cheapy canvases on the canvas boards. I buy real good quality canvas boards. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Be sure to visit my eBay page if you want this little painting. And I'll be painting more of these types of paintings and put them in my store. If you want any lessons, make sure you private message me and say, hey, Jan, I'd like to learn how to paint these roses or the poppies or anything that I'm painting. You could send me a private message through Messenger, and I'll get back to you, and we can set up a Zoom class for you. I have several students that do it this way. Everything is private lessons. I don't have group lessons anymore because it's too expensive to have anything on Zoom. So I quit doing group lessons for that reason. I just do private lessons, and then that way it doesn't cost me any extra money to do my Zoom channel. I can just do lessons whenever it's convenient for everybody. So anyway, give me a message if you want to come and join me or you want a lesson. So thanks so much for joining me, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you push the like button, and thank you so much. Have a good evening. Bye for now.